Hello, and welcome to Masterful Chats. I'm Rebecca Lovett. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in the world. I'm so happy that you're here with me today. Masterful Chats are short, clear, concise, clarifying conversations designed to uplift, empower, and inspire you as you move forward on your spiritual path and in your life's journey. And today's chat is about the changing nature of relationships. But first, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm an information synthesizer, a mystical scholar, and an intuitive. And I believe with my whole heart that each of us is a child of God. We are all loved unconditionally, completely, totally, and beyond measure. Remember to stay to the end of the video because I will be offering you a spiritual tip that will help you to move through this world with more ease and grace and peace. So now let's chat about the changing nature of relationships. Relationships have always been challenging, but coupled with the new energies coming in with the Ascension, all of the rapid change in the world, and all the chaos, sometimes it seems making and keeping those connections are just a little bit harder. As the times are changing and the world is changing, we each need to adapt and to grow and to expand because that is what the energies are calling us to do. We're all being pushed to move out of our comfort zones, embrace more of who we are, and to move away from limiting boxes of beliefs and perceptions. And quite often this shows up most strongly in our closest relationships. People that we thought we would have in our lives forever can be gone very, very quickly. And not just due to perhaps illness or an accident, but because energetically we're just not aligned anymore. Prior to the harmonic convergence, the world stayed really at one pace, one vibration, one mode of being. But with the harmonic convergence in 1987, new energies came on the planet. The magnetics of the planet began to change, and the grids began to change. And with light codes flooding the planet from creation, and all the upgrades that were being given on a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual basis, people are changing, and they're changing rapidly. And there are those that are embracing the change, and there are those that are resisting it. And we've all experienced the polarization in the last few years, how it's ripped apart families and communities as people strive to discover who they are and what they want and experience themselves. I personally, in my life, have not met anyone that has not gone through tremendous changes. And sometimes we can stay with people and other times we can't. I've had some relationships that were never really comfortable, but I did them out of service or I felt it was important. And I'm sure there may be some people in my life that felt the same way about me. But it came to a point where energetically we weren't aligned anymore, and it wasn't in our best interest to continue the relationship. There have been decades-long friendships that have ended for people in the last few years, which can be really very difficult for the heart. But it comes down to trust and to know that each one of us has a spiritual path to follow, and that, as a dear friend of mine used to say, sometimes people come into our lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And everyone is our teacher. We're here to learn from everyone. And when they're not in our lives anymore, for whatever reason. It's important to bless them and wish them well, and to know that the time you had together was important, but that your time together has ended. Some relationships, you can see it coming. You can notice the subtle differences, or perhaps the way you're being treated, or the way that they're responding to you, that things are not quite as smooth or as easygoing or as joyous as they once were. Other times we see people within our own family aligned with one political party, and we're feeling very differently in the other, and we just can't find that heart connection. In today's world, thinking that we're going to convince anyone that they're wrong and we're right and they've got to see our way, it's just not going to work. We need to allow, and we need to give space, and we need to honor that other person's path. And focus, if that relationship is very, very important to us, if it's an old friend or a family member who you love, focus on the commonalities that we share, the happy memories that you made together, and create strong boundaries of what topics you will cover and what topics you won't. Both parties need to honor that agreement, but through setting boundaries and respecting one another, quite often we can continue to have relationships with people with very, very different viewpoints. And with these energetic shifts taking place within ourselves, within our families, our communities, our countries, everything is changing, and it's changing rapidly. And that's where standing in your power and being a sovereign Christed being, knowing that you're making the best choices for yourself and your family and your future, and that there is a plan, and that if someone is meant to come into your life, they will, and if they're meant not to be in your life, they probably will not be. Some people are going with the flow of the Ascension, and other people are resisting. Some people want to expand, and other people want it the way that it was 50 years ago. And everyone has their opinion, and that's okay. It's important that we don't demonize, and that we don't criticize, and that we allow, that we be compassionate, and that we be kind. Every person is fighting their own battles, and we probably don't have any idea of what they've been through, or the storms that they've weathered, or the tragedies that they've overcome. The most important relationship is to yourself, and to know that you are 100% responsible for you and you alone. And as we move through this time of great change and upheaval, focus on those relationships that bring you tremendous joy and peace. Focus on those relationships where you feel comfortable and loved and welcome. Because as I like to say, we're all in this together. Nobody gets out alive. So by focusing on the joy and the laughter, by creating strong friendships, we're not only helping ourselves, but we're helping the world. And many people are still feeling somewhat isolated after COVID, doing their best to rebuild relationships and rebuild their lives. So reach out to another in your community, reach out to a friend, strengthen the bonds that are important to you, take action. Be the change that you wish to see in the world. It starts with you. You are the one common denominator in all your relationships. So make that common denominator one of great beauty. And for those friends that have left your life that you may miss and may think of often, bless them and bless yourself. We're all doing the best we can with our level of awareness, with where we've come from and with our goals as to where we're going. And it's best not to take anything personally. And it's best to release in love and joy and gratitude for what you once had and what you once shared. And now I'd like to offer you a spiritual tip to move through the world with more ease and grace. When I've had a relationship end, we can all focus on what was said, how they acted, how hurt we are, if we are hurt. And we can sometimes loop those thoughts and emotions through our bodies and through our brains. So the trick that I've developed is that if ever I think of a person that I once deeply loved or cared for, and we're no longer in relationship together, at least on the physical plane, because we're all connected energetically, I pick out one time when I was with them, when we were together, that we laughed or hugged or did something that brought me tremendous joy. And that's my go-to thought with them. It stops the monkey mind. It stops any painful remembrance. It brings me great joy. So try that and see if it works for you. And I'd like to hear your comments. Thank you for being with me today. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'd really appreciate it. Take care of yourself. Until we chat again, blessings.